All right, everyone, please welcome on the podcast today for his first appearance, Philip Samuelraj. He is the founder and CEO of Techjays, and he's going to be a guest speaker for us at our upcoming TDWI Virtual Summit taking place in December. I'm excited to have him on today to talk about AI agents and the agentic world that we're all entering into here rapidly. And in conjunction with that, he will be talking about that exact topic at that virtual summit as well. So, Philip, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk with me. If you don't mind, maybe can you share a little bit of a brief background about yourself and kind of where you are, how you got to where you are today, before we dive into the good stuff about agentic AI?
Oh, pleasure meeting you, Andrew, and excited to talk about agentic AI. I've been in tech for 2 decades, both on the product side and on the consulting side. My last work was at Google, and this is pre-ChatGPT, right? Before November 30th of 2022, when the world woke up to ChatGPT, I was building AI, working on LLMs, the Lambda models of the world, which was all super exciting. And so I saw the power of AI and how AI can transform the world. And it's been phenomenal to build AI inside of Google and then now to build AI outside for the world. And our mission is to help transform the world with AI, and it's time of our lives.
Incredible. Wow, what a wealth of experience that you have. And I'm very excited to listen and watch your full session coming up in December. But I'm also super excited to get a sneak preview, and I think our audience will really appreciate this. So let me dive in here with the first question around agentic AI here. So can you explain what agentic AI is all about and how it's different than, as you just mentioned, like ChatGPT, generative AI, and maybe why so many people are excited about it?
Oh, absolutely. Agentic AI represents the next evolution of AI. And it's about building autonomous agents that can follow this cycle, the sense, think, and act cycle. We'll also call it like perceive, perception module, a reasoning module, and then an acting slash a tool use module. In the world, much like humans do. And you asked about, hey, how different it is from generative AI. It is, while generative AI focuses on producing outputs, like you have inputs and then, processing and then outputs, like any system in the world has. And you have, generative AI produces output like text, images, codes, etc., from prompts. You ask it a question and it does. Using the underlying models or large language models. Um, what agentic AI does is that it takes a step further. You can take any input, text, numbers, voice, images, video, and all of these inputs are fed into agentic AI systems, and these can be structured or unstructured, static or dynamic, and these are fed into these agentic systems, which have a perception module, which perceive where the data is at any given point of time, right? And what the system has to do. And then there's this reasoning modules, which is, the think cycle is like, hey, what exactly is the problem and what are the steps to solve this problem? And then the acting slash tool use module, which is like, hey, what needs to be done? Is that an email that has to be sent in a very simplified? Is there a system that needs to be updated? Like, those are like examples of tool use. So it uses the same modules, agentic AI uses the same modules to take action towards achieving the goals. On a very simplistic sense, generative AI is intelligent conversation and agentic AI is intelligent execution. So this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm super excited about.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I agree. It seems, so exciting to have this automation piece as you're talking about, just be able to take action as opposed to, it seems like a lot of the generative AI, as you rightly said, is more like it can help you, you know, get to where you need to go, and then you have to do the final step. But this next this next iteration here, as we're experiencing with agentic AI, is so exciting. So you just mentioned that you're going to touch on that stuff or those topics during your session in December. Without giving too much away, can you delve a little bit deeper into what you'll be discussing in that session for us?
Yes. So my first objective is to demystify agentic AI. Explain, what we talked about as agentic AI and how that can be built for real world examples. Our mission and my mission at this point of time is how can we help the world transform with AI, transform every individual and every business. For that, we've got to deliver tangible business value. So walk through the architecture of real world agents, how they perceive information, make decisions, and collaborate with other agents and humans, with humans in the loop to deliver like phenomenal business outcomes. And my goal for this talk is, everybody is talking about it. There's like a conceptual excitement. If you haven't heard about AI, you're probably living under a rock, right? And so everybody is like, oh, yeah, we need AI and so on. But many falter towards practical implementation. And how can that problem be solved? And if I can demystify that, help people understand that, that'd be the best. And that's what I'm looking forward to cover in December.
Yeah, that's excellent. And can you maybe give some additional examples on how organizations are using agentic AI regarding, what you just mentioned there? Like, is there practical implementations difficult? So I'm assuming there might be some roadblocks for folks that are, ready to go. Can you talk about some successful implementations that you've seen?
Absolutely. So all businesses have, with respect to the return on investment, are looking for two things, right? One, if they can save cost or they can make more money. What we're seeing mostly in the strongest traction at this point of time is in the saving money part, which is in operations heavy environments, where teams processed, vast amounts of text and numerical data daily. Um, for example, agentic AI can analyze your customer tickets, emails, invoices, logistics data, inventory data, make sense of ambiguous patterns, and then trigger real world actions like you want to update a system, notify stakeholders, or generate a code. All of this with minimal human input. So I've got, at my company, we're building for, a logistics company to completely transform their operations, a manufacturing company to do the same, a recycling company to do the same. So these are like operations heavy environments where, the adoption of AI is agentic AI is where we're seeing like a natural fit. Another interesting part that we're seeing with respect to examples is like what we built one product. Hiring has always been a problem for us. We use, as ex-Googlers, me and my CTO, we use Google's structured interviewing process, setting up like 4 different hours of interviews for people, and then having our interviewers burned out, not being able to hire fast enough was always an issue.
Mhm.
So we built HireFinch, which is an AI interviewing platform that automates the entire hiring lifecycle. Like you go from job description, hey, this is the kind of a candidate that you want. AI generates the entire interview plan, the scoring rubrics, and these are different agents, by the way. There's one agent that helps create the job description, that one agent that creates the interview plan and the scoring rubrics, one agent which conducts the interview, and then there is a scoring agent that separately looks at and actually scores the interview. So this way, you're only talking to the top 5 candidates or the top 3 candidates for any role, and you save a huge amount of time and money.
Mm.
And you have great outcomes because of this structure, you're also conducting better interviews. With
Right.
and bias, we want to eliminate as much bias as possible.
Mhm.
So, and the magic lies in how these multiple agents collaborate, get this awesome work together, right? And they're almost like specialized team members working together with like deep specializations in each. So this is how organizations are using, this is how we are using it. I'm like very, very excited because in the next few years, the world will see the entire transformation and it's going to be phenomenal.
That's so interesting. You said it was called Hire Finch, and is that available for people to try and use on their own? Is this something that you're keeping in house at the moment?
We have just made it a general availability, and it is, you can check it out on hirefinch.ai.
That sounds very, very interesting. And I can imagine the hiring process. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that shapes weeks off of, that individual who might be in charge of that process. Massive time savings. I'm sure any company could use that,
Yep.
even if you're not necessarily a tech-facing industry side of things, you could still use that internally. That's very exciting. Um, Let me ask you this then, because as I just mentioned, I think a lot of companies around the world could use Higher Finch or something similar there. So if I was a company that was looking to start using agentic AI, what would my organization need to be thinking about as they enter that agentic AI path?
Yeah.
Is it their data? Maybe it's governance. I'm sure there's a bunch of other things.
Fantastic question. The first step towards any organization moving on to, as they're exploring agentic AI and the moving on to the AI transformation, is understanding the art of the possible. What is possible at this point of time? And the AI world is changing very rapidly. If we had actually put together like a strategy at the beginning of this year, right now it would be going to the shredder because things have, rapidly changed.
Right.
But if you understand the art of the possible and dimensionally understand or directionally understand where, AI is moving, the AI world is moving forward, you should be able to see what are workflows in the company. But the same, like, hey, with respect to unstructured/structured data in text, numbers, voice, and so on. What are these? How can imagine how these autonomous agents can handle processes end to end? That I think believe is that I believe is the first step. Next comes data readiness, which is like data is the lifeblood of AI, garbage in, garbage out. Without clean, connected, and accessible data streams, even the best agents will underperform. So you have your data ready. And then comes over governance, right? How can you ensure transparency? How can you have control and alignment with how you run your business, compliance, and the likes? So these are things that organizations should start thinking about and as they move forward. And one of the most interesting things that we're seeing with respect to agents at this point, finally, is what we call the psychology of building out AI. Because we need good amount of change management to help teams evolve from, hey, just I want to just doing the work to designing how work gets done, how they can be orchestrators in a world where AI agents get stuff done, and then how they actually solve bigger problems instead of just as you mentioned, go over and do tasks that are monotonous and just, repeatable that can be handled with AI, which can handle ambiguous, unstructured/structured data.
Hmm. No, it's very good. And I'm curious, it sounds like when I've had conversations in the past, many organizations may not know where a good starting point is for this. Trying to triage or audit the business to identify what you said, what is possible right now. How much of that process is still ongoing for customers and clients that you're working with, and how difficult is it for them to kind of come to that realization? And is there AI tools out there that can help with that process?
Yeah, that is a really hard problem to solve. And here's because, as I mentioned, the state of the AI world is changing day in and day out. So what we have seen done well and what we do is like, hey, this is the art of the possible at this point of time. So instead of going from, hey, let me do an AI transformation strategy for the entire organization, here's this big bang strategy that we're going to work on for 3 to 6 months, we actually counsel people to move away from that. Instead, go take a more of a bottom-up approach. And overall, from like, hey, does the organization have the tools? What tools can you, uncover? Can you roll out to your entire organization, help them train so they can leverage AI at this point of time? And at the same time, look at what are really good use cases across the organization that you can actually solve for and drive the most ROI. And with these, you're solving for multiple points at this point of time.
Hmm.
And as AI rapidly moves forward, you're solving many. And we believe this will come together and transform the organization instead of starting with a vast, oh, let's transform the organization. Let's sit in a room and build out an AI transformation strategy.
No, that's good. I think that's really good too, because the practitioners, the ones that are in the weeds, are maybe the best ones to identify the processes that can, be done with this new agentic AI, and become orchestrators, which we're hearing a lot of that word as well, orchestrators, as you rightly called out already. Well, so okay, so if we're currently what's possible, agentic AI, it is possible right now. What is next after agentic AI? If you can look into your crystal ball for us, and maybe it's still within agentic AI. Maybe there's an evolution there. But in your mind, what do you see is after agentic AI?
So the AI world is thinking of this, right? Which is, hey, post agentic AI, like if you build a lot of agents, what happens naturally next is that there would be orchestrated intelligence, which is you have humans, you have AI agents, and how can all of them collaborate seamlessly across organizations and systems? Instead of just looking at it more from an automating individual workflows, how can these agents actually negotiate, coordinate, learn, and they collectively shape like a dynamic ecosystem where work continuously optimizes itself? So that's like, the direction in which the AI world is going. And that's
Hmm.
where, all AI thought leaders are thinking around as well. And so the organizations that thrive will be those that treat AI not necessarily as just a tool, but hey, this is the way how we go about and do business. Like this is the new way of running an organization, new kind of
Hmm.
organizational metabolism, as you would, as you can call it. So that's where I think organizations need to move. And I've heard this said, like there will be two kinds of companies: companies that adopt AI, and number two, companies who go out of business. Right? So we'll have to see how the world evolves.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. And I know there's a lot coming every day. It seems like every week and every day we have new information and new things that we can try. And the what is possible continues to move its way down the line.
Yep.
I'm going to let you go at this point. I know you're super busy here. So I just want to thank you again for your time. If someone watches or listens to this and is interested in reaching out and asking a question or following up with you, is there a good way for them to do that?
Yeah. Happy to connect with anyone on LinkedIn. You can look me up at Philip Samuelraj, or reach out on the TechJays website as well. It's techjays.com. So would love to hear from any of you.
Awesome. Terrific. Thank you so much again, Philip. It was an absolute pleasure talking with you. I'm looking forward to your session in December. And hopefully we'll cross paths again soon. I'd love to have you back on the podcast in the future. But thank you so much.
Wonderful chatting with you, Andrew.
To subscribe to the Speaking of Data podcast or to learn more about TDWI's research and training on all things data management and analytics, visit tdwi.org or click the link in the description below. Thanks for tuning in.